I've always wondered which bow is better. Like, the devs certainly knew what they were doing with this one. And I guess the Tsunami is technically a haha April Fool's joke. But actually, we don't have to compare anything. If we just look at the game, we'll realize that the Tsunami does 3 more damage and has a faster fire rate. So thanks for watching. Okay, but I'm gonna do like an actual comparison, not just speedrunning through all the bosses and see which one comes out on top. Alright, I'm gonna start comparing them now. The Eventide and the Tsunami is basically the same thing, the only minor difference being that the Tsunami shoots in a spread while the Eventide shoots in a burst. However, one of these arrows being an ethereal lance. Now I'm not gonna baby you guys and like, oh, you see the Eventide is actually a drop from the Empress of Light would only be fought when its Planetara has been defeated. Like, the wiki exists for a reason. Anyways, like I said, the Eventide is progression locked by Planetara, however, the Tsunami isn't. And getting a Tsunami before mech bosses is by far the most overpowered in this game. Sure, it will be a hard fight to kill Duke Fish from a gear that is straight up but in the end it will be worth it, because considering the Tsunami can literally carry you all the way up until Pillars, only being replaced by Phantasm. Even though Empress has a smaller loot pool, I think Tsunami wins this without a doubt. +1 to Tsunami. Also, not to mention that Fish Run is way easier than Empress. Alright, now we're doing test in-game. Yeah, I don't know what to say. First, we will be using base damage, meaning that we won't use any armor accessories, and we'll be using no reforge. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that the Eventide is inconsistent as hell with these numbers. Like, it's just going all over the place. Like, we reached 1,000, and now we're just going low. Like, we rated an average of about 780, I'd say. With Tsunami, the numbers are a lot more stable, and we didn't have those weird spikes. Like, I'd say we had an average of 800, and looking like the Tsunami is winning right now. Next, we'll be using a build that most people will be using. You'll also be using potions, and you can just look at the accessories. Alright, so when using the Eventide, again, it was really inconsistent, but it was a lot more stable this time. Like, I'd say we have an average about 3,800. Now with the Tsunami, it was actually performing worse than the Eventide. I'd say we had an average around 3,200. Now we're going to be using a build that I would normally use. Again, buffs, but with I-Core arrows. You can take a look at the accessories. Alright, sort of Eventide, and who would have guessed, Eventide is being inconsistent. I'd say we were averaging around 5,300. Next up is the Tsunami, and it's not looking too good for the Tsunami. Like, I'd say we average around 4,700. And before I get a bunch of comments saying, oh, but actually the Eventide works best with wooden arrows. No, they don't. Here's our DPS with wooden, and here's our DPS with I-Core. As you can see, I-Core has a higher DPS. Now, does this make the LGBTQ arrows useless? No. And I'm going to explain why later. Also, here's an endgame DPS test. With this loadout, I basically crit on every single hit. And it was weird to say that Tsunami was actually the one being inconsistent and weird. And the Eventide was being a lot more consistent. However, it was a lot lower than the Tsunami. It basically just got destroyed. +1 to Eventide, and I do not know why you'd use these bows over Phantasm. Now, the main problem here is finding out what arrows to use when fighting the Pumpkin Moon. The Eventide is an easy pick just because the Pride Flag arrows work well. However, the Tsunami isn't. Well, you see, most people are just gonna say, well, just use Jester's arrows, they'll work fine. Here's the problem, Jester's arrows do this funny thing called piercing iframes. And piercing iframes are big bad. Because of this annoying feature, a stick would be better. I even tried the most underrated arrow in the game, the stand arrow. Have you ever wanted a stand arrow but just can't afford one? Well, you're in luck. Use code I'mSorry in the Fortnite item shop. Oh, and chlorophyte arrows are dodged. Anyways, I decided to sell on holy arrows. When using the Eventide with the wooden arrows, I felt like a slayer of worlds just sitting there while holding left click. However, with Tsunami, I felt a bit more risky to actually just sit there AFK. However, when it got to the boss, it just completely melted his HP. Which with the Eventide, it actually made me realize I was in God mode. Now, Eventide made it to wave 15 faster, and spoiler alert, it beat Tsunami in score. Yeah, I don't really know what to say other than Eventide good, Tsunami bad. So, +1 for Eventide. Yeah, this is probably the section that you came for. Like, the funny thing is, it's like half the entire video just because of how long the Moon Lord fight took. Alright, just sit back and watch me bully some bosses. Also used high offense gear. anyways, I hope this video helped you, and in conclusion, Tsunami